go into this room and do this next activity, it's gonna get a little deep and we're gonna have to be a little prepared for that. But as state officers, it requires us to dig deep and be vulnerable so that we can best serve the members around us. So before we get into this room here, let's create some intentions that we are gonna have as a team, because ultimately, it is all of you working together as a team to create that connection between member, state officer, and FFA. So before we enter into the classroom, can we just say a couple words of how we're going to be full of purpose when we get in there? So for example, I promise that I will be open and honest with my teammates. Can we have about 4 answers?
Be supportive.
All right, we're going to be supportive of people's ideas and opinions. Another one.
Be good listeners to others.
All right, so we're going to be good listeners to others, and we're going to be open and honest. And did you have one, Alexis?
Willing.
Willing. So we're going to be present and willing in the moment so we can learn as much as we can while we're here at base camp. And one more. Be confident, right. So we got here for a purpose, and now we're going to take everything we learn and give back to our members who made this possible. These are some incredible intentions, and let's keep them in our brains as we step into the classroom. Now that we are all seated and have our intentions set, being open and honest and willing and being accepting of others' opinions and ideas, we are going to do a little activity about our self-image and how this is going to reflect as us as state officers. So I'm going to read 10 statements off, and if this statement pertains to you, you're going to grab a piece of spaghetti. But if it doesn't, that's just fine. You can leave your hands in your lap, and if the next statement does, you can take a piece of spaghetti then. What questions are there? Wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and read the 10 statements and take a piece of spaghetti if it relates to you. So first, take a piece of spaghetti if you received a compliment about your looks in the last month. Take a piece of spaghetti if you look in the mirror and say positive things about yourself. Take a piece of spaghetti if you wake up happy to see friends and family. Take a piece of spaghetti if you can give a sincere compliment in a way that doesn't make you feel insecure. Take a piece of spaghetti if you use social media to stay up to date rather than for comparison. Take a piece of spaghetti if you don't track the number of likes or favorites on social media. Take a piece of spaghetti if you believe in your ability to achieve academically. Take a piece of spaghetti if you had not had any signs or symptoms of extreme sadness over the last 2 months. Take a piece of spaghetti if you believe in your purpose as an officer. And the last question is, take a piece of spaghetti if you believe your future is exciting and full of opportunity. So that was the final statement. So let's go ahead and just count up how many pieces of spaghetti we have and keep it to ourselves. We don't have to share. So these pieces of spaghetti kind of represented our self-image, right? And our self-image, when we think about it, it's important as to how we can connect with FFA members and throughout our year of service. So how do these pieces of spaghetti represent what we think about ourselves?
I think they definitely represent that you don't always know what your other fellow officers or members are going through. And so it's good to reflect and take a second to put things in perspective and make sure to reach out a helping hand to those around you or take time for yourself.
That was awesome. Thank you, Tara. Going off of that when we noticed that other people weren't taking pieces of spaghetti when we were, how did that make us feel?
I think it's interesting to see how we hold ourselves to a different standards than others. Like for me personally, if I was not taking a piece of spaghetti or taking a piece of spaghetti and looking around and kind of seeing other people do the same or do differently, I was kind of confused, like, oh, how could they not feel that way, you know, they're great or whatever. And so, yeah, it's different to see how we're a lot harsher on ourselves than other people.
It's definitely a different perspective, that's for sure. And our hardest critic is definitely ourselves when we get into all of this. But now, relating this to what we think about ourselves, how can this relate to FFA members? Pieces of spaghetti, if not more than we have. So what can we do during chapter visits, during our conferences to make members feel welcome and invited and have as many pieces of spaghetti as possible?
Make them feel involved and make sure they know that it's okay to participate, and even if like their friends are there and their friends don't want to participate, it's okay. It's not uncool to participate, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we all get that in workshops, like, oh, I'm too cool for this and everything else. But what we say and what we do when we're facilitating is incredibly important. So what type of language do we need to make sure that we're using when talking to students?
I think it's really important to give them positive affirmations when we are proud of what they're doing, or when we see them being respectful of others or themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome. So positive affirmations. What else?
You need to be open to other ideas that are different than yours, openness basically.
Yeah, open honesty, like our intentions that we made before we came into the room. We need to make sure that FFA members have those same intentions as well. And so now that we have our pieces of spaghetti, we have our go-to plan when we're going to go out and work with our members. We are going to have a little fun now that we just had a really deep topic and create a tower with our pieces of spaghetti, because our self-image, what we think of ourselves, can build up ourselves so that we can help other people. And so when I say go, we are going to build the biggest tower we can working together as a team so that we can prove that our members are going to be supported by us.